Here are 4 possible reasons for why God isn't removing your feelings for this man who's not in your life. And please note, this video is not one where all the points will apply to you. Rather, these are 4 possibilities that might relate to you if the variables are present in your life. So you really need to weigh through each point to see if it applies to you. Number 1, you still have strong feelings for this man because you agreed with the lie that you will always have strong feelings for this man. John 8:31-32 states, "So Jesus said to the Jews who had believed him, 'If you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free.'" Of course, this verse is about the truth of the gospel, the truth of Jesus that sets us free from our sin and gives us a relationship with God. But the principle of the truth shall set you free is very practical as well. A lie has no power over you unless you agree with that lie. In other words, Satan, the world, and your own flesh can't make you feel attached to this man. Rather, if you agree with the lie that they are saying, you will always be attached to this man. Your feelings will never change. This is just the way it's always going to be. Then your agreement, your belief in that lie will fuel your feelings so that you will then live out that experience. However, if you agree with God's truth, that he loves you, that he has a good plan for you, if you say to yourself, God isn't going to leave me here forever. God isn't going to cause me to want to be with this man who doesn't want to be with me. He doesn't want me to dwell on a man that I can't be with. If you agree with the truth, then over time, God will give you new feelings, probably for somebody else. And either way, he will help you move on in a healthy way. Number 2, you feel so attached to this man because you ran from him in fear and now you're regretting it. Another possibility of why these feelings aren't going away is because deep down, you actually wanted to be with this man, but you chose to push him away and now you're regretting it. The regret is now fueling the feelings of remembering this man. So there's a few possible things you can do if you're in this type of situation. The first thing is you could reach out to this man and explain to him what actually happened. You can just tell him the truth. I was dealing with fears. I was going through something and I pushed you away and I didn't want to do that. And there's certainly the possibility that this man still has feelings for you and he's willing to forgive and move on and try to start fresh with you. The other possibility is that you reach out, you say what you have to say, and then he responds and says, I appreciate that, but I'm fully moving on. I don't have feelings for you in that way. And while that may sting a bit, that will also help you move on because you then won't have to wonder if there's something else you could do that would allow you to be with this man. And lastly, you can also just accept 2 things at the same time that seem contradictory. One, you pushed him away in fear and you wish you wouldn't have done that. And 2, you also know he wasn't the right guy for you. If that is happening to you, then you can just simply accept that you wrongly acted out of a fear-based motive, which is never good. And then you choose to learn from that. You don't need to reach out. You don't need to keep going back. But you also need to recognize, I did push that person away. I did respond out of fear, and that wasn't healthy. And although I'm not going to reach out to this man, I need to learn from that. And then that will help you move on. Either way, if you have regrets because you responded in fear, bring that to the Lord. He can turn our mistakes into something good. He can teach us even though we didn't do the best possible thing in our past. So if God wants you married one day, he's going to produce that right marriage for you at the right time. Agree in faith with Psalm 138 verse 6. The Lord will fulfill his purpose for me. Your steadfast love, O Lord, endures forever. Do not forsake the work of your hands. Number 3, you may feel so attached to this man because your isolation is fueling your fantasy. In Dr. Henry Cloud's book called Changes That Heal, He wrote, "A deep sense of isolation often leads to excessive idealism and romanticism. Isolated people do not experience the real, so they escape into the ideal. One can have a safe relationship with an ideal fantasy, but it never fulfills. Only a real relationship can do that. Idealism furthers isolation. Real connection cures it." As 1 Peter 5 verse 8 states, "Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion seeking someone to devour." Never sacrifice the real for the fantasy. The real is often more painful, but it's also always worth it. When you only live in your thoughts, you're never actually living. And number 4, you feel so attached to this man because you've created a soul tie with him. When I use the word soul tie, I use that phrase in a different way than most people use it. So for the sake of time, I'll refer you to this video right here where I go in depth on my teachings about soul tie and from a biblical perspective. So if you want to watch that video should be right here on your screen. I'm Mark from ApplyGodsWord.com, and until next time, God bless.